Fans of Walt Disney World's past gathered in late April to celebrate the park's 50th anniversary at Disney's Contemporary Resort Hotel for RetroMagic 50, an event hosted by the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society. RetroWDW podcast hosts Todd McCartney, Hal Bowers, JT Kuzier, Brian Miles, along with web designer Jason Bartell and a team of volunteers, brought together more than a dozen former Disney Imagineers, executives, chefs, and other cast members to take the stage in front of a crowd of around 400 guests. Topics range from restoring a Magic Kingdom swan boat all the way through creating films that once played in the Disney MGM Studios theme park. At over 8 hours long, the event was packed with fascinating details about opening and operating Walt Disney World, while also celebrating the music, food, fun, and films of the first 50 years of the resort. And that's far too much to talk about in just one video, so I'll cover the event in more detail later. But for now, let's take a quick look at my top 10 moments from that day. Having registered the day before the event, I actually received the first item we'll talk about a day early. Each guest received a set of floating pens, and while the box alone was pretty spectacular, the contents helped set the tone for the rest of RetroMagic. Each pen was themed to a different beloved Disney World attraction: a submarine from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the dive chamber in the Living Seas, the Disney MGM Studios Backlot Tour, the Magic Kingdom Skyway, and the Walt Disney World monorail, with each form of transportation moving as you tilted the pen from side to side. Disney World attractions and transportation wouldn't be beloved if it weren't for the cast members behind them, and RetroMagic 50 was a celebration of those folks too. As representatives of the Walt Disney World cast, it seemed appropriate that some of the park's ambassadors would be present for this celebration. Former ambassador Stephen Miller arranged a special moment when current Walt Disney World ambassador Allie Mannion joined the park's first ambassador, Debbie Dane Brown.
Back in November, we were able to present our former ambassadors with something very special. So today I have something very special for you. On behalf of Rayvon and myself and our global ambassador team, I'd like to present you with your very own Disney Ambassador alumni name tag.
I saw these in October and I wanted one real bad. I didn't know who to ask. I actually did ask a few people, like, how do I get one?
Are we going for the perfect moment?
That's it.
And they found that moment on stage at RetroMagic. So we've already mentioned attractions, transportation, and the Disney cast. But let's not forget food is something to celebrate. RetroWDW has tapped into the nostalgia for Disney World foods, including bringing back the Handwich for their last event, and again this year. So it's no surprise RetroMagic 50 would include some new notable food content. Chef Johnny Rivers explained that Tonga toast was first served somewhere other than Disney's Polynesian Village Resort.
Well, we started it at the Contemporary Hotel, and that's where we started that. And then it was, everybody got excited and transferred. And I also did more than bananas. I did the stuffed French toast with mango, bananas. Then we had some with pecan and, so all kinds of different things.
And Brian Miles arranged for Chef Rivers to see today's Tonga toast.
I don't know if you've seen Tonga toast in a while, so if Colin can come up on stage, they're staying at the Polynesian, and we had him pick one up this morning so you can see what they're serving today. There's legacy lives on.
But the food content didn't stop on the shores of Seven Seas Lagoon. As part of the research behind bringing the Brown Derby restaurant to Disney MGM Studios, Chef Raymond Pitts learned the truth about the first version of their iconic Cobb salad, and he shared that story.
So the story behind the true story behind the Cobb salad really was, yes, there were some movie stars involved, and yes, they were impaired. They were at Cobb's house, and they were hungry. So they opened up the refrigerator and see what they had. Well, I got some eggs, I got some blue cheese, I got some wilted lettuce, So they chopped all that stuff up, and the eggs and all of that, and they ran the chopped up salad inside of a towel. The water rinsed out the chlorophyll out of it, and they served it with a traditional Russian dressing, or a simple vinaigrette, French style, which is basically vinegar, oil, salt, pepper. Have a nice day. That's how the Cobb salad really came about. It was not diced up either. It was they ran it through a grinder. Really.
It looked like a lawnmower ran over it.
Staying in the studios, animator and filmmaker Jerry Reese, who directed the Back to Neverland film that played during the original animation tour, talked about guests looking through the glass on that tour to see animators at work inside what he lovingly called the Fishbowl.
They'd get their work done, but they would do like shoot rubber bands at the glass sometimes. Or they'd pull up a sign that says "Feed the animator, drop the quarter here." And then people would clink the quarters against the glass. But then you would see something, and this was really touching. At least once a week, you'd see a kid, a little boy or girl, that would just be looking mesmerized through the glass at our team. And then you'd see the tour move on, so all the legs would move aside, but you'd see the kids stay there. And then you'd see mom and dad come back and like, oh, sweet. And so we would, if we noticed that, we would say, let's go out and talk to them. So I remember several times, like stooping down to talk to the kid and saying like, what's going on? And if they were curious about drawing or becoming an artist or being an animator or working for Disney, whatever, you know, first we would say, you can do that. I used to be your age looking through the glass too. And now I'm helping to make the magic, and you can do this. And then the second part of it was we would talk to the parents and go, by the way, I'm telling the truth. Support them in this because they can do it.
Our next RetroMagic moment featured a renowned artist whose name you may not have known, but if you're watching this video, then you're almost surely familiar with Norm Inouye's work. Just hearing from the man who designed the original logo for each EPCOT Center pavilion was special enough, but learning the logo for the Imagination Pavilion wasn't what I thought it was meant to be was the biggest surprise of the day.
In fact, this was probably in retrospect, was probably the most difficult and probably the least successful of all of them. It was meant to be a vortex. It was supposed to look like it was spinning into wherever space. I think if I had to do it over again, I'd add more perspective to it or something, because I think that because Kodak was the sponsor, everybody assumed it was the iris of a camera, but it wasn't.
In addition to celebrating some of the visual and culinary artistry of the Disney parks, there was also time to look back at some park music, featuring an interview with composer George Wilkins. During that discussion, interviewer Tammy Tuckey took time to perform some of Wilkins' works, including the theme song from a beloved Epcot Center attraction.
You moved beyond today into the future, picturing a world we've yet to see. Horizons all shining in you, horizons where dreams do come true. For today is the challenge to make this world a better place to be. New horizons for you and for me.
And while I didn't capture the moment when Wilkins made a heart gesture with his hands at the end of New Horizons, he also expressed his appreciation for Tuckey's rendition in words. A full version of Tammy Tuckey's New Horizons is available as a medley with Tomorrow's Child on Tammy's website, tammytuckey.com. As part of her album, You'll Find Me on Main Street. Maybe no surprise that a man known for the longevity of his time with Disney, dating back to Disneyland's first year in 1955, has become a regular RetroWDW event attendee, but we learned some of why this event likely won't be his last. In his third Lake Buena Vista Historical Society event, Disney legend Tom Nabby took time to recognize a friend and former colleague that we lost recently, while also explaining why that inspires, or he might say requires him, to be part of Disney fan events.
Bob Matheson was the keeper of the faith and the Disney philosophy. And I think everybody that worked here at Walt Disney World learned a lot from Bob and that philosophy that went forward. And that's one individual I really miss. I remember one conversation I had with him. He says, Tom, you're going to be one of the few people left to carry on the tradition in your charter to do that. And that's why I enjoy doing these programs with you guys.
As a fan of Disney history, I've been fortunate to hear Tom Nabby at multiple events, and hearing from Disney legends is always a pleasure. But so is spending time with other people who enjoy learning about the history of the Disney parks. Being with folks who remember and care about the same attractions, resorts, and obscure details, and the people who brought those things to life is always enjoyable. And since I'm not the only person who appreciates those things, a lot of other folks have now been to multiple Lake Buena Vista Historical Society events. And seeing friends made from the Lake and Lagoon tours, celebrating EPCOT's 35th anniversary and the first RetroMagic, also connecting with people I previously only knew online, or making completely new friends is a big part of what makes these events so special. So usually seeing old friends and making new ones is the #1 highlight from Disney history events, but there was something else I noticed this time. Watching the former Disney World cast members on stage, it became clear that those former colleagues experienced an even greater joy while reconnecting with their longtime friends and former co-workers. You could see the smiles on their faces as they relive fond memories of the past, and hear the laughter as they remembered their times working together. It was often the unspoken smiles and other gestures where this camaraderie was most evident, but a couple Disney chefs helped put this spirit into words. When asked about his greatest accomplishment at Walt Disney World, Chef Johnny Rivers said,
I think the relationships, I think to have a team of people, not just the Olympic team, but to work in an environment where you have a culture that's pretty much stabilized with wanting quality and ensuring joy and peace and love.
And Chef Raymond Pitts added,
Be able to do food for 10,000 people, including U.S. presidents and movie stars, at that level with the commitment and camaraderie from these guys, I'll never forget as long as I live. And I want to thank them again from the bottom of my heart for all of their commitment and everything they've taught me through the years. We've had some battles, but I tell you what, I wouldn't go to war with anyone else but these guys.
So that's a lot of good stuff. Fun souvenirs, reconnecting with people with a shared passion for the history of the Disney parks, busting some myths, bringing together a diverse collection of former Disney cast members to celebrate their achievements and make sure they understand how their work was appreciated. That made for a pretty special day, and this was just a few highlights. If you want to hear about Bob Gurr's favorite cars, how Jim Sarno is keeping the legacy of Harriet Burns alive today, Jerry Ree's keys to animation, what it was like to work with Walter Cronkite and Robin Williams on Back to Neverland, Little Richard passing out Bibles before a recording session for Food Rocks, why the Sherman Brothers song for a popular Epcot Center pavilion was rejected, the real meaning behind the Epcot Center logo, why Disney World's Venetian Resort was never built, and why the Pop Century Legendary Years concept was abandoned, why you shouldn't tell a Disney chef that money is no object, and several stories about the legend of Dick Nunis, including how he once kicked a Volkswagen sideways. Then stay tuned for our next video, because those are just some of what you'll hear from what was a spectacular celebration of Walt Disney World's first 50 years. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to this channel for more RetroMagic 50 coverage. And also visit RetroWDW.com, subscribe to their podcast, and follow the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society on social media for regular looks at Walt Disney World's history, and to make sure you don't miss any of their future events. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at the next RetroMagic.